Good evening, fourth grade. Today we are going to go through math for day 8 and day 9. Now day 8, math I know was supposed to be done yesterday, but I want us to go ahead and go through it and you can double check your work. So let me share my screen with you real quick and we're going to go through it together. So when we come over to our math task for the day, our day 8 math task basics, of course, we were recording the day's temperature on the table. And solving the math problem Olympic Games. So the math problem Olympic Games has the following. A gymnast competed in these events to qualify for the Olympic Games. Below are the scores earned. The event floor exercise, a score of 15 and 433 thousandths was recorded. For the vault event, the score of 15 and 9/10ths was recorded. The uneven bars, the score of 15 was recorded. And for the balance beam, a score of 15 and 43 hundredths was recorded. So our task is to order the gymnast performances from greatest to least and to determine the gymnast's total score. So we're going to go over specifically the ordering today. So I'm going to switch this over to my smartboard. Now I have set up a place value chart here, and the reason why I've set up a place value chart is because we are working with decimal numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my decimals in here really bright, really red, because we need to make sure when we order that our decimal places line up. Just like when we add and subtract, our decimals need to line up. So I am going to, for the tens place, the ones, each one I'm going to record the digits in a different one. So I'm going to record these real quick. So our first number for the floor exercise was 15 and 433 thousandths. So I'm going to record that really quick. 15, 4, and 3, and it's going to be a little bit shaky, and 3. Oh, sorry, that 3 looks a little funny. I apologize. All right, and our next number is 15 and 9/10. So let me record that real quick. 15. All right, and 9/10. And our next number is 15. And then our number after that is 15 and 43 hundredths. So here's our 1 in our tens place, our 5 in our ones place, our 4 in our tenths place, and our 3 goes in our hundredths place. Now our place value chart is our friend when comparing and ordering numbers. Our place value chart is a very, very important tool. So over here on this side, I have a table that I made so that when I figure out which of these numbers is the biggest, I can go plug it in. Or when I figure out which number is the smallest, I can go and I can write it in. So our biggest number is going to go in slot 1, the one that comes after that in slot 2, one that comes after that in slot 3, and of course our smallest number will go at least in 4, because your task is to order it from greatest to least. Now right away, if we're looking and comparing the numbers, we're actually going to be able to find probably the smallest one first in this one. And the reason why I say that is because of the way it's laid out. So over here we have, these are all the same. So since those are all the same, I need to now go to the ones column, because we start with the biggest place value when we're comparing numbers to try to find which number's either the biggest or the smallest. Now over in our ones place, they're all 5s, they're all the same. So now we have to look after the decimal. So we're going to go over to our tens place, but in our tens place, these are not all the same. There is one that's quite clearly smaller than the other. There's one that's quite clearly bigger than the other. Now, the smallest, of course, is going to be our least. Our biggest is going to be our greatest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write one of these over here, but the rest you're going to have to order on your own. So when we come over here, 15, of course, has nothing after it. 15, I know right away, is the smallest number. So the rest of them you'll be able to order if you look at it in our place value. Now, another thing I want us to make sure that we remember is from the place value chart, we can actually start adding, but do we want to do that? No, we want to break these up into smaller numbers. But if we're doing that, if we're adding these numbers together, let's say we start with these first two, which is 14 and 433 thousandths, we need to make sure that we're keeping our decimals lined up. And I need you to make sure that you're adding no more than 2 decimals at a time. If we try to do more than that, then we run the risk of course, having a calculation error. We don't want to have a calculation error because then we're not going to get the right answer. Now, let's add that in 15 and 9/10. Now, what I like to do when I do this is I like to use placeholder zeros to make sure everything's lined up. And then I can go and add each place. 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 plus 0 is 3. 4 plus 9 is 13. So I'm going to put the 3 here. Now that's 10 too many because we can't have more than 9 over here because once it becomes 10, it becomes a 1. Once we have 10 tenths, it's a whole. It's one whole. So we need to make sure that we put our decimal place here. And then the other, we've got a tenth over here because we had 10 tenths that carried over. So we got a new whole. Sorry, not a tenth, but a whole. So we got a 1 that carries over. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Oh, now 11 ones is 110 plus 1 1. So we can put that 10 over here in the tenths. Not tenths, but the tens place. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So that is 31 and 333 thousandths. Then after that, we can add the 15 to this number. Then after that, we can add the sum that to that. No more than 2 decimal places at a time. So now let's look at day 9's math. So when we go back over to day 9, our math task is to solve the math problem stained glass window. Explain your thinking with pictures, numbers, and words. So in order to do that today, we need to go over a few key pieces of vocabulary. First off, a line segment. A line segment is part of a line. A line can go infinitely in any direction, but a line segment has 2 endpoints. An endpoint, of course, being the point where the segment ends or begins. So this includes all the points between and including those endpoints. So a line segment, when we see it, is going to look like this here. That's our line segment. An angle is formed by 2 or more rays. Now a ray has 1 endpoint and goes infinitely on in the other direction. So it ends here, but this way it's going to go on forever. Just like a regular line goes on forever in either way, like your number line. An angle is formed by 2 or more rays that share a common endpoint called the vertex. So this here would be the vertex. Angles are found wherever lines or line segments intersect. So wherever you have an intersection here, you have an angle. We're going to take a look now at the stained glass window math task. Denise was going on a walk and noticed this beautiful stained glass artwork hanging in the window. She noticed that it was made of different types of polygons. What polygons do you notice? So in 3rd grade, you talked a lot about polygons, and you should see some polygons, which are some shapes, 2-dimensional shapes sitting here in the window. And you're going to tell me on the next slide, or your teacher, what shapes you see. Now, what? You're going to make a design of your own for a stained glass window on paper, or on the next slide if you're doing it online. When you do so, you have to count how many line segments and angles you have created. So for example here, this line of this triangle, that's a line segment. So there's 1, 2, 3 line segments make up a triangle. Now it meets in 3 different places, 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 angles. So here in just this triangle, I found 3 line segments and 3 angles. So when you make yours, make sure you're keeping track of the line segments and the angles as you create it so you can tell your teacher where your line segments and angles are. I hope this helped you guys out just a little bit. If you have any questions, make sure to get a hold of your teacher. We're here and we're happy to help. In the meantime, have a wonderful evening, and remember 4th grade to stay awesome and that we are better together. I can't wait to see you again. Bye, guys.